September 27, Prince Kaboo. Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. In the jungles of Liberia, nearing the end of the 19th century, people were always preparing for tribal warfare, or they were recovering from tribal warfare, or they were in the middle of tribal warfare. It was a hard way to live. But 15-year-old Prince Kaboo, the son of a Kru tribal chieftain, bore more than his share of the tribal warfare pain. Already, he had been kidnapped and held for ransom. Twice.
Does life seem like it is over? There is still hope. The third time the Grabo tribe defeated the Kru and captured Prince Kaboo, they held him for ransom as usual. And, as usual, the prince survived at the mercy of the drunken Grabo chief. But this time, no matter how much rice, ivory, or other gifts Kaboo's father brought, the Grabo chief refused to free Kaboo. Now, after all this fighting, that crazed Grabo chief had plans. He told Kaboo the Grabo were going to tie Kaboo to a tree and beat him until he passed out. Then they were going to bury his body up to his neck and prop his mouth open with a stick. Next, they would smear honey all over the boy to attract flesh-eating driver ants. And when the ants had had their way, the Grabos would hang Kaboo's skeleton as a warning that ransom must be paid. The time came. Warriors bound Kaboo to the whipping post. With poisonous, thorny vines, his captors lashed him over and over and over. His body was shredded, and escape was impossible. Suddenly, a blinding light from above shone on Kaboo's mangled body. The Grabo chief screamed in terror. Everyone there heard a voice that seemed to come from above them. The voice said, "Get up, Kaboo, get up and run away." The vines that had held him to the tree fell off, and he burst free. He was bleeding a lot, but his body surged with a new energy. Miraculously strong, Kaboo ran. He saw a soft light ahead, and he followed it. That unexplainable light led him through the thick maze of murky jungle to a coffee plantation where he met missionary Anna Knowles. And he stayed, there where he was safe and he could heal. One day, during normal Bible study time, Anna told the story of the light that had blinded the Apostle Paul. "I have seen that light too," Kaboo yelled. "When they were whipping me and I was about to die, I heard that voice. Now I know who it was who saved my life. It was Jesus." Stunned, the missionary explained that Jesus died on a cross to pay the ransom for all people. Kaboo understood what it meant to be ransomed. One night, he was again surprised by a light. The room grew brighter and brighter until it was filled with glory. The burden of my heart suddenly disappeared. I shouted until everyone in the barracks was awakened. "Praise God! Praise God! I am his son, and he is my father." Romans 8:15 says, "For you have not received a spirit of slavery, leading to fear again, but you have received a spirit of adoption as sons, by which we cry out, 'Abba, Father.'" For the rest of his short life, Kaboo, who was later named Samuel Morris at his baptism, clung to the truth that he was a son of God who loved him. A missionary advised Kaboo to go to the United States for education, and that's what he did. Since he had no money, he started off to America on foot. For several nights, he slept on the beach until he could barter his passage for work. He was finally on his way, but the crew beat him and gave him the dirtiest, most dangerous jobs. But because of standing firm in his faith, by the time they arrived in New York, the captain and most of the crew had also become Christians. In the United States, Kaboo preached the gospel to anyone who would listen. Have you been through some battles? Is there a way to use that to speak into someone else's life? Does life seem like it is over? There is still hope.
Hello friends, my name is Blake Maddox. I'm the Executive Director of 365 Christian Men. I love watching and listening to these stories every day, just like you do. Hopefully these stories are moving you, inspiring you, and challenging you in different ways and on different levels every single day. This Prince Kaboo story really hit me different than maybe any other time that I've watched or listened to it. And here's what really struck me. Here's a 15-year-old boy that probably experienced more persecution, more suffering, more challenges than any 15-year-old certainly that I know. But here's what really struck with me and struck me with this story. You know, Luke chapter 19, verse 10 says this about Jesus. He came to seek and to save the lost. There's something very profound in knowing that Jesus not only came to save the lost, but to seek the lost. And here's what stuck out to me today in the Prince Kaboo story. He had an encounter with God when he was being tortured, and he didn't even know it. We know the story tells us he saw a bright light, and the light allowed him to flee. And he ends up fleeing to a plantation, not even knowing that he had had a divine encounter with God. And then secondly, when he heard about the Apostle Paul and Paul seeing a great light, he realized that what he had encountered as a young boy with that light was actually God. So here's my challenge and my encouragement to you. 2 times in this story, Prince Kaboo encountered God. The first time he didn't even know it. You may be watching today and not even know that you have encountered God. Why would I say that? Because God came to seek and to save those who don't know him. Prince Kaboo did not know God, yet God was pursuing him. So here's my encouragement to you. God has sought you. God has pursued you. Are you aware of that? If not, would you ask God to show you how much he loves you and that he's got a great plan for your life? Prince Kaboo was never the same after that second encounter with God. You and I will never be the same when we realize that we have been pursued by the creator of the universe because he loves us and wants a relationship with us. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.